nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417, let your wellness be our stress.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Realfm.
Another wonderful Thursday afternoon to you, everyone. Thanks for joining us and welcome once again to The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, your host and producer, alongside our technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph. And you know, Jaquan, I'm back to my old ways today. I'm back to my old ways. The only thing that causes me to remember the date is that I know it is the day before our final program, which is the day before National Day. So that makes me remember that it's the 11th. I had to think, tomorrow is our last program, 12th, the day before. If not, I'd have been asking you what day it is again, Jaquan, I tell you, I go in and I slip in away fast. I slip in away faster than 2025, Folks, it's nice to be with you. And as I've told you, repeat, final week of The Real Issues for this year, for 2025. Tomorrow will be our last broadcast. And let me just tell you, for the 3+ years that we have been here, what a joy it has been. This isn't really about me coming here to speak or having other people co-host guests with me. It's about the wonderful interaction that you have provided me with. We've been like family, this Real Issues WhatsApp chat group. You may not see me posting a whole lot in it. It's something I've learned kind of the hard way. And that anytime you are in a group where you are regarded as somebody who's well-spoken and people tend to nod in agreement with what you say, it's very easy for you to crowd them out. Not really intimidation, but they kind of wait on you to make points. And once you're there, you really, feel, free and so on, like they don't have the shoulder room. So a lot of the time, my restraint is to allow people to express themselves. And you've been doing a wonderful job about it. I know some of you are perplexed at some things that I delete. I delete them not necessarily because they're bad, like somebody would have posted something recently, and I just felt it's a little off, the line of what we have to deal with and so on. They're good things, about African leaders and African heroes and so on. But I sometimes would like us to focus on real issues that are either about St. Lucia, grounded in St. Lucia, or they have a bearing on St. Lucia. Some of them are duplicate posts and so on, something somebody else had already posted, but maybe the poster didn't see it. It's never done out of any way to control people's expressing of themselves or on one track or something of that kind. Yesterday, somebody sent me something which they wanted me to put in the group or to ask whether it was okay. It has to do with a CSA AGM that's coming up, and they said it's very important because it will deal with matters such as, for example, the group insurance for CSA members. And I told them, go ahead, nothing wrong with it. And upon closer examination, I realized whoever did the flyer, they forgot to put a date, So but you don't know if it's tomorrow, if it's next week, whatever. I haven't seen the things, Somebody might put that and might say, okay, you have it there. But other people would ask the question. But Real Issues people, both on the WhatsApp chat group and the Facebook Live, I really want to thank you. You have really been a self-sustaining group, mature people. I could name names, but if I name some and I don't name the others, it would seem like I'm slighting people. But it has really been a pleasure and a joy interacting with you. The advice, the counsel, the guidance that you've given me. Thank you, and thank you so very much. And I really look forward to next year when we will begin. I think it's Monday the 12th of January. We're going to come back to be on the program. I used to come immediately after ASU Square, and then I realized it takes a little while for people to get out of their festive. And a lot of things you learn along the way and so on about the cycles of people, and you get to regard it. So on Monday the 12th, we'll be back, but tomorrow is our final program. Now, we have guests today. We have supposed to have 2 members of the National Awards Committee. And the reason I'm talking is to kind of make up a little time for the benefit of only one has so far been able to come here. And I didn't want her to have to say so much in the absence of the other one, hoping that she'll talk. Although I think she'll give a good account of herself. But before I actually introduce her, let me just say a few words of encouragement to you, my people. Sometimes when people cannot defeat you, where achievement, where overcoming, where conquest, where triumph is concerned, whatever it is. Sometimes you may be going through some hard times or you struggled a lot to get where you are. And sometimes you just can't understand why people would want to mess you up when your struggle itself has been a tribulation. Your struggle itself has been a suffering. It has been a punishment. It has been a trial, Why would anybody? But that is the way of life, Sometimes people you think would be behind you, would be supportive of you, even people you regard as friends. You're surprised that when crunch time comes, when push comes to shove, the kind of things that they say and do to sabotage you. I'm going to give you a little hint. Somebody who I have known long before I knew MBC or ever came to MBC and regarded as a friend. A person maybe doesn't know that I know that, but for the last 3+ years, this person has been saying to other people some of the nastiest things you can say about somebody to me. It has shocked me, initially at least. But, over time, your skin thickens and your back becomes a little more oily like a duck. So things slide off and so on. But I can't imagine why somebody would be saying those things about me, and I regard the person as a friend. I've never said anything to the person. Never let the person know that I know what I know. Why? Because you do that and then either they feel cornered and then they begin to implicate other people to try to get themselves out, or they get nasty and vicious, the defensiveness thing. So I've just decided, for peace sake, let it be. And sometimes that is the best approach to take. I'm not going to mention why I'm saying that, but I think people who know me and listen, folks, there are a lot of things you want to take on and you want to do, but sometimes just who you are, your reputation, your integrity, when people will look at the whole of it, you've never been arrested, you've never been in court, you've never been prosecuted. So let people say their dirt about you. Your life and what you are will eventually speak for itself. You don't have to go and defend and fight back against anything. So when you see people who have not been able to alter the course of your existence and of your achievement and your success, what they do is that when that success, when that moment of, they try to steal your joy. Do not let anybody steal your joy. And one way is that you can be chasing after everything, believing that you have to fight back and push back and defend against it, when sometimes you just have to let it be. When I speak those words, what I remember? I remember a passage in the Bible about, the children of Israel coming back from exile in Babylon, and when they reestablished and they started to rebuild the temple, they were so overcome by emotion and they started to cry out of emotion. And there was a guy, a priest, I think he's the same Ezra who wrote the book of Ezra in the Bible. And his words are very instructive, when he said to them, stop the crying, people. This is not a day to cry. At least we are back from captivity. We are rebuilding the temple. Do not get into this crying thing. This is a day to rejoice, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. That's where it comes from, And he said to them, The joy of the Lord is your strength. Now, I don't like to take religious things and conflate them into secular things. But we're now going into National Day. We're now going into Festival of Lights. We're now going into Lantern and Greasy Pig, the fun things. And into Christmas and the joy of visiting people and sharing food with them. And with this one, you got a little bit of fruitcake and you sampled which fruitcake had more rum in it. And you ask for some wine to pour over the cake to rum up the cake a little more. And the rum punch, homemade, the kind of joy things of life and New Year and the Asu Square. And then going back into Independence and road relay and whatever it is. It's time for us to be a people who can relate to each other and come together so that we can experience joy in our St. Lucianness. This is a beautiful country with beautiful people and beautiful things that we come together to do. Don't let anything get in the way of our joy. And when you see people who have seen certain things have not worked for them, it has not worked for the country, it has not worked for whatever cause, but they still try to reintroduce it as a means of being party poopers, of being killjoys, of being gatted ban people and so on. Don't fight with them. If you do that, your whole life is like it's a fight with people and so on. You don't get a chance to enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself this Christmas season and New Year season in peace and so on. And do not cry, do not get angry. Your life and all its mercies and so on, let them bring you joy. Enjoy the joy. Not said on that, let me without any further ado introduce a person who you have heard me say openly is one of my favorite people. And I mean that, one of my favorite people that I can thank God for having met her. All other things, be gone and so on. She's a member of the National Awards Committee. She's supposed to have been here with someone else. She's been on the program before. So let me say welcome to Miss Malika Compton. Thank you so very much, for being here to talk about the National Awards 2026. Go right ahead, please, until Sharon Ephraim, another member who was to be with you, until she gets here.
Thank you so very much, Shelton. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers in St. Lucia and in the diaspora. I'm here to speak again about National Awards. Every year for independence, we choose persons in our communities who are deserving of national recognition. And this time it's no different. Our awards deadline date will be next week, Saturday, December 20th. So I'm here to encourage persons who done so to nominate someone today.
All right. So how do you nominate?
Well, you get the form, and we have the form on the Governor General website. You could get it at our local libraries, our post offices, our constituency councils. So you can get it online,
and then you can get the hard copy at different places.
Yes.
The library, the post office.
Yes. Constituency councils, yes, in the diaspora, also at the consulates, the embassies, and also at the office of the Prime Minister, located in the Graham Louise Administrative Building, the waterfront.
Okay. What are the categories and what are the deadlines for getting those forms and submitting them, etc., etc.?
We have various categories, but all of them share the same deadline.
The same deadline,
which is December 20th.
Oh, so we don't have much time?
No, we don't.
Oh, my goodness me. No. All right, we're talking about just a little more than a week.
Yes.
So people have to hurry to get that in.
Yes.
Okay. And can you just run for some of the categories for us? Maybe not all of them, but maybe the main ones.
So we have the highest, which is the St. Lucia Cross, a person who has rendered distinguished and outstanding service of national importance to St. Lucia.
Isn't there one of them who have served as Governor General of the country are eligible for it? I'm just asking. To me, I heard
think
once.
There was one in term, but we don't sit on that.
You all don't sit on that, okay.
Yeah.
So the highest one is the St. Lucia Cross. And there are categories, I suppose, of gold and silver.
But for this one, it's only gold.
It's only gold, St. Lucia Cross. That might be a hard sell for me to get a nomination for that one,
You never know, Shelton.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
We have the St. Lucia Medal of Honor, and this one is in gold and silver. A person who has rendered eminent service of national importance to St. Lucia or has performed an outstanding, brave, or humane act to National of St. Lucia, demonstrating courage in circumstances of extreme peril. Okay. We also have the St. Lucia Medal of Merit, also in gold and silver. A personal service in the arts, literature, sciences, or other such fields in St. Lucia.
Oh, I think Sharon is
Yes, nice.
Yeah, Sharon is it.
And we have the St. Lucia Lepetor Medal
Can we have that bell, because she might press the bell, or I might press it to say that she's here. All right.
Great.
And Jaquan will put a chair for you.
No problem.
All right, go ahead.
In gold, silver, and bronze, persons who have performed long and meritorious services to St. Lucia, tending to promote loyal public service, national welfare, or to inculcate and strengthen community spirit. Then we have two other, which is more for the service personnel. We have the St. Lucia National Service Cross for the various officers or the uniformed positions, and we also have the St. Lucia National Service Medal.
One wants you to just slide your chair a little bit.
Problem. Welcome, Sister Sharon.
Somebody move me like that by me, you know. My mister. What's up, babe? Okay. Yes. Okay. You see why I want you all to come? Well, Japan, is that okay, or can we look it a little up, because
We're good.
In our face and so on. Huh? That's how it's good? Okay. So why it can't go the way it was with me? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, to stay firm.
Up and so on. I'm just asking, you know?
Look at
Yeah, to me, I don't know. Okay,
it's sliding.
Japan knew something that I didn't. Alright, okay.
It's good.
Just have to maybe move a little further back. Alright, okay. We're good.
All right, so I've listed the awards. So
Alright. Okay, so maybe we've been through that before, but when you submit these nominations, for example, I don't know I've been nominated. Is it that the awards office or council, they call me and they say, Mr. Daniel, you've been nominated. If we approve it or if it is approved, will you accept? Does the person need to know they have been nominated? Because I'm just saying, would it not be embarrassing if somebody is nominated and the nomination is approved and so on, and then the person says no and so on? How does it really work in practice for a nominee?
Thank you so much for that question, Shelton. And I want to say thank you, listeners. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm happy to be at MBC once more again to speak about national awards.
That's the first time since we moved to the new location.
Yes, and I was looking for it all over.
how do I my instructions or my directions?
So I want to say that persons by right should not know that they are being nominated. It should be something like a surprise to people when they are nominated for such a prestigious award. And so it would be best if the person does not know. But we know out there that some persons know because sometimes they call them for information, which should not be.
Right away, that gives a little clue.
That gives them an idea that they are being nominated. And so persons that does not know does be really surprised to know when it comes to independence, during independence, the names are called. And when they hear the names are called, they feel so surprised and thankful, you know. But the secretary normally called them in advance, letting them know that they have been awarded, nomination has been approved for them, etc. And after that, on Independence Day, they call the names again. So at that time they are aware. But some people, you know, we try our best for that not to happen. It shouldn't happen. But it does happen.
Do you ever get that you, well, I'm not talking about you personally, but the awards committee, you all get off? Somebody say, no, I don't.
Yes. There are individuals that have said to us that they have nominated persons. And sometimes I remember there are cases where we call in, individuals were called and they didn't know and they said no thanks, they doesn't want the award.
Okay, you know why this thing comes to my mind?
Yes.
Dr. Kenny Anthony, recently when he was giving his speech at, the meeting where he said he's no longer running, he made the point very strongly that he's not looking for and is not interested in any kind of awards, any kind of titles, any kind of knighthood, any kind of accolades. I mean, he was very, very, emphatic on this matter. But still, I see a lot of people online in the Real Issues Forum are saying, look, boy, we really should honor Dr. Anthony. We should give life. We should really do all of that.
So too.
And I'm saying, okay, he doesn't want it, but the chorus, the cry for him to be, honored and decorated is there. So what happens if somebody, and maybe more than somebody, a few people write, fill out those nomination forms and write, how they call them, citations or whatever, for Dr. Anthony that says, and then after all of that, you call Dr. Anthony and say, the highest honor, St. Lucia Cross, whatever, you've been nominated. And for Kenny Anthony to tell you, no, I've already,
It has happened.
So how does you just have to just back off because the person doesn't want it?
If the person doesn't want it, the person doesn't want it. Okay. So we just have to
There's no provision for the Governor General to tell him, Kenny, you have to take your award because we got 2,000 nominations for you or something. So, all right. Yeah. Okay, so what we're looking at, the next award, 20th. There are different awards we hear about. We hear about National Independence Awards.
Correct.
We hear about Queen's birthday honors and so on. What is the difference between them? Do they get repeated or transferred across, or Independence Awards are Independence Awards? And what awards would you find in the Queen's birthday thing that you would not find in the Independence Awards? And any other categories of awards that exist? Can you just, for those who may not know already?
Well, National Awards is a totally different award where, as you are aware, that we look at our unsung heroes out there to be able to award them for the good that they have done in the country. This national committee is only, our designation is only for the National Award.
As Independence Awards?
Yes, we don't sit
you all don't deal with the Queen's birthday thing and
so on. We don't
so
sit
you all
on
deal with the
committee.
national thing, but the Queen's birthday thing, which
it's the Governor General, the Prime Minister.
I don't want to offend anybody, but I might say the colonial ones, that's not in your hands, but the national ones. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want people to know.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that is our portfolio. That is what we are here for. So I don't know if Malika wants to touch on the Queen's birthday and thing, but that
just so people can know the difference. So, for example, you let people know that things like a knighthood, sir, and OBE and MBE and those things. These
so that is granted by the monarch of the United Kingdom compared to us locally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So what we deal with,
so the category of getting that prestigious award, we would not have known until we probably Google it and find out exactly what the criteria is. We know our criteria. We have an act and we are governed by the act.
Yes.
But they themselves may have an act and have their own criteria. So we don't already know what is the criteria for such an award.
Okay. So when the committee receives those nominations and whatever, you all sit on it. How many of you really? Because that probably can be a lot to go through and so on. Is it you all have to sit over that period of time and read through them, and then you decide, okay, this one makes sense? That it seems to me like a lot of work, especially the time frame. The time frame you now have to deal with. That's a lot of things to go through.
That is why we have to put a deadline date to receiving those nominations. Sometimes we get 200. It has reached to 300 before in the earlier days. Now, I think last year we got a little less than that. But we have to individually receive, when we receive the awards, our secretary send it to us individually. We have to go through all the awards. We have to read everything. We have to jot down our notes of what our findings are, who we think. And then after we do all of that, we have a sitting where we come together, we go through them again, and we look at, based on what we saw, what did we come up with? Who do we think in that particular criteria, in that particular award, who was the person that we thought best suited for that award? So if myself and Malika and maybe two others have the same person, and maybe one person has somebody else, we look at the justification. Why did you get that other person, and the three of us got that person? And we would say the reason why and whatnot. We would come to an understanding where we choose the right person.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Yes.
So after what you have done your duty as the committee. What is the next level of filter or review that it goes through? That you have done it? Is there another body, another person, permanent secretary, whatever, who reviews it or filters it, or and where is the final decision?
So we have dates for everything. So we have dates for closing submission. We have dates for us ourselves to be able to do what we're doing there now. We have our schedule well put together. We have a schedule for us going through those awards. Then after we finish, we have a date where it has to go to the Prime Minister.
Okay.
After it leaves the Prime Minister, there is a date for it to go to the Governor General.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we have our schedule in place. That's why we have to meet the deadlines that we have
Wonderful.
to make it happen.
Wonderful. Do you have to swear any oath of secrecy or confidentiality to say, look, these nominations, when they reach you, you must not talk about it to anybody? Or whether not an oath, but
no, we don't.
Okay.
That's why when choosing the individuals to be on the committee, you choose persons of integrity, and that's what we emulate. So there's no reason to to do that oath.
And the Act also speaks about board members, and we have to be able to live up to what the Act says, where whatever we do has to be towards the beneficial for the persons that are nominated. We have to make sure that we leave make sure that we don't, our preferences is not about preference.
Yeah,
it's about
no biases.
choosing the right person. We shouldn't be biased at no one whatsoever. We want persons out there to know that we are persons of integrity. There are Malaika representing the opposition, myself and Mr. King, Wilbert King, representing the government, and there is Mrs. Mauricia Francis, who is the chairperson, and we have Mr.
Dr. Japierre.
Dr. Japierre, who is Kentry Japierre, who is representing the teaching service
and the public
service commission, and we have the police commissioner representing that part of it, and
secretary.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the committee members. So we are persons of integrity, and we would not put ourselves in any position. That is the reason why, if Malaika has someone that she knows very well that was nominated and we received that application, Malaika would get up and go out when we are discussing the application. So we are being really, really,
what about the insignia, or what we might call the award hardware? The stars and the medals and those kinds of things. Is there a stock of them, an inventory of them, that we have 5 St. Lucia crosses, so we need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or do they have to be specifically and custom made for that particular occasion? I'm just saying because based upon the look of them, the silver look and the gold look and the diamond look, I'm thinking there must be some cost, to having them.
Not know, Shelton. But all I can tell you in terms of how many we have, I mean, based on the Act, there are a number of quotas that you have for each category.
So there's no pre-existing stock and inventory of them?
Well,
you all don't know?
No.
That is the office of the Governor General.
He
and his staff would be looking into that aspect.
Yes.
It comes from the office of the Governor General.
Okay. All right. So it sounds to me the tight time frame that you have to deal with to go on to get those things made and engraved.
But they know every year. So, and they know the quotas.
They know the quota.
Right. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, is there anything further? We had a little bit of a late start, but it looks like, you've, is there anything that you need to say, and I haven't really gone into? Feel free, yes, because we have to wrap up here.
Okay, so in wrapping up, I just want to remind our listeners out there in St. Lucia and the diaspora, because you can nominate persons from the diaspora as well. I just want to remind them that they need to be able to, the nominations must be made on the prescribed form, and all submission must be provided the justification for the award. You must sign.
I think we can hold up a form that maybe you can go by the camera so that we can actually show it. So we don't have any nomination forms that people can see.
Oh yes, okay.
What it is like to go to the post office.
Yes, I do have one.
Praise God.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought maybe if you went by the thing, you could hold it up.
Okay.
You know, it's always good when people can.
Yes,
know
they
that
can
this is
view
what
it, and
is
it's not
that you
complicated.
You can look at.
It has more than one page.
Yes, and if you need somebody to help you to fill out a form, I don't think anything wrong with that. You want to nominate somebody, but
Not a
you-
problem.
I just want to say the members of the committee cannot get involved in that.
But I'm saying
we can
that
just
somebody can go to their local
Yes, of course.
yes,
school
Because
teacher
groups and
Correct.
stuff
or
can
justice
submit.
of the peace and
Yes.
say, I want to nominate
Correct.
somebody.
Yes,
but
they
some
can.
people are a little writing shy
Yes.
and pen shy
Yes.
and so on,
Yes.
right? So you know, Jaquan, I didn't think it would take all that. If that, I wouldn't burden you with it. But anyway, here you are. Okay, so this is the final wrap up.
Yeah.
All right.
nominations must be made in its entirety, and you must sign the form, and the person that nominating the nominee has to be able to put the name on the form. Anything that's left out, Shelton, we are so sorry, but we have to decline the nomination. It
Okay.
will not be here. And to
To
say that
identify
if
it,
that
okay.
individual does not get through this time around, the person can resubmit that nomination for the
Okay.
next time and the next time and the next
Okay,
time.
all right. A law enforcement officer called Mr. Etheldred James is calling me, and that can only mean that he wants to go live on air. I suspect he wants to make a case for him to get an award. So I'll let him speak for himself. Cuz, good afternoon to you.
Yes, good day, good day, good day.
How are you doing?
I've been wanting to ask this question for the longest while.
When are you going to get your St. Lucia cross? Go ahead.
Customs and Excise Department, that's the largest revenue earner for the government. I think last year they won the award for that. But over the years, I've noticed that they are not included in those award programs. So I'm beginning to ask why in the national program, the national awards, independence awards, and none of them have not been included in those. I need to know why this is happening, because to me these are hard-working, dedicated officers, and they need to be included in that, unless there's something different according to the act that I don't know of.
But awards are not given
I
to
find they are-
agencies or departments or collectives. They are given to people, to individual people. Are you saying that you have never heard the name of a scholar, for example, ever awarded and so on? I'm just saying, to me.
Or retiree for long
Yes, we do
service,
retirees.
military service, or something,
Yes.
Okay.
That's
for long service in the public service or something. Not any awards at all.
Okay.
yeah. So this
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks. You listen offline.
yeah, this is why we have the
Public service.
public service commissioner and teaching service commissioner. They would submit the long serving awards. Okay, so it just probably so happened that for some reason they've not had somebody from customs. However, somebody can recommend that individual regularly for an award. Okay.
Okay.
And we have had a lot of retirees as well from the public service,
Yeah.
from the teaching service. We have had retirees that have received awards.
Okay. All right. Well, Miss Malaika Compton and Miss Sharon Ephraim, thank you also very much for once again being here to remind us and to sensitize us and notify us about upcoming national awards and what we need to do to nominate people, the deadline dates, the speed with which we have to do it, the thoroughness and the adherence to the requirements, of the nomination. Really appreciate it once again. Real Issues, powered by Blue Waters. We take a break. When we come back, we'll be having on the line, I hope, Dr. Claudia Sprayville.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Realfm.
McDowell Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Realfm.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with The Real Issues, powered by Blue Waters, on this Thursday, the 11th of December, 2025, with me, Shelton Daniel. I think you all have been hearing me advocate for a simmering, for a toning down of the temperature and the volume of the raw, high-octane, inflammatory politics of the recent election campaign that we have had. I really would like to see us, get back into the routine of everyday life in terms of relating to each other and uniting. And uniting doesn't mean there'll be no disagreement, because if it means that to unite means which we mustn't disagree, we mustn't differ, then it means our country has been hopelessly divided for a very long time, I dare say, since the very foundation of its habitation and so on. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that there are other issues that we need to pay keen attention to, such as, for example, crime and security, our law enforcement, our economic development, for example. For many, many, many years, we've been talking about how St. Lucia is the same size as Singapore, and Singapore is so much more developed than St. Lucia. Well, there are important differences. The population, the human resource development and quality that is there, you're talking about 180,000 people versus 4 million plus people on the same landmass, how much they have invested in education, how much they have invested in industrialization and so many other things. But we got to start somewhere. We're not going to get there one time when maybe they've had such a huge head start on us because of differences in culture, for example, in the very setup and nature, their history, their experiences, the evolution of their societies and so on. And this is one of the things that I want to explore with a gentleman who has been in the fields where he can talk to us about it. He's a trade expert. He's an economist holding a PhD in that subject, and that is Dr. Claudius Prevel, who joins me now on the line. Dr. Prevel, you don't have to limit yourself to what I have preambled you into, but good afternoon and welcome once again to The Real Issues.
Hey, Sheldon, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. How's everything?
Oh, doing great. I mean, couldn't be better, I can say. But when I think ahead, Dr.
Yes.
Prevel, to things such as our VAT holiday, our VAT-free day, and so on, I think about the kinds of economic policies that can begin St. Lucia on what I, in my own little lack of knowledge to the depth that you have, would regard as the necessary things that we need to do to start to propel ourselves into becoming an economic heavy hitter, punching above our weight, maybe even having the dream of becoming an economic powerhouse. And you, a specialist in the areas of trade, and other broader areas of economics, perhaps can tell us, when we look at things such as a VAT-free day, for the Christmas season, and other things that we can begin to leverage to begin, to raise our heads and our levels higher than what it is or has been for some time. What are your thoughts on that? Starting with that, and what steps do we need to take in the future to punch above our weight?
Okay, so thanks so much. And first of all, I'm all in for that battery day, because I'll tell you something. Essentially, what it means is that it will multiply the dollars in your pocket, right? So where you were looking previously at spending, let's say, $15 on a particular product, with the 15% up to 50% off in some of those cases, is a huge savings in your pocket. So that means there's more income that is quotable for spending, and it's going to redound to economic growth as well. So this will be a huge contribution to the economy. People might say it's just one day, but I'll tell you something. So many transactions will be done in that single day. Market to maybe purchasing a vehicle, a house, real estate. Any such activity that is done will be subject to that exemption as well, and therefore it's going to have a huge impact. And similar measures can be introduced in the economy to provide some kind of impetus. Nothing, of course, substitutes for a comprehensive development strategy and master plan. This is something I think we also need to look at. We have to look at how we will see the allocation of the different factors of production and the contributions to productivity in St. Lucia over the next 20 years. As a matter of fact, I spoke on this issue during a speech I did at Nobel Laureate Week in 2022, where I've called for the need to actually look at how the different sectors, agriculture, manufacturing, services, their contributions to GDP, what needs to be done in certain cases, what sort of levels do we want to see in those size of the GDP contribution of those different sectors, and of course how it impacts the demand for labor, demand and supply of labor. So we find that as we try and develop the economy, there will come a point where we require even more labor. We have different qualities of labor, specialized labor versus the not so specialized variety, and so on. So there's a lot that needs to be done, Shelton, but I think it has to start with a comprehensive plan, and that is my understanding of where the government is headed. There are bits and pieces of this in place, but we need something very coherent and systematic in order to get the kind of economic growth numbers you're talking about. We have massive projects already in the pipeline. UNO International Airport is a huge undertaking. The seaport explorations, these are also major undertakings, and they will bring about significant growth as well, both from the direct construction activity and also, of course, the subsequent activity once these things are in place. So you remember there was a time way back in the 1990s when St. Lucia was the center for Ned Lloyd lines.
Yes.
At the time, I was doing an assignment at St. Julian Seaports Authority. I was the center analyst there. And that was something. I mean, we were making millions and millions a day in trade, just essentially doing transshipment and handling of goods. So these kinds of activities can return to St. Lucia once we have fully developed ports, not only in Castries, but also in Soufrière, Newport, and other places. We can see surges in economic growth through trade facilitation, which St. Lucia can become a hub for. After all, we were a very important hub in terms of facilitating trade, going way back to the colonial days. Before the Panama Canal was constructed, ships had to circumnavigate the globe to go from east to west. and St. Lucia played a very strategic role way back then without any modernized ports in facilitating trade between Europe and the Americas and the Far East. So we can see a modernization of such activities when all the major port infrastructure is put into place in the coming years. These are just some of my preliminary thoughts on what you've said, and referencing Singapore. I mean, as you know, Singapore is essentially that. One of the major drivers of Singapore is how it has managed its, how that has redounded into significant growth and development for the economy as a whole.
There seems to be a never-ending nostalgia and, a longing for a return to or reintroduction, resumption of the mass labor, mass employment industry, such as the banana industry, maybe to a lesser extent tourism, which perhaps has not delivered as much of its potential to us as it has. Do you believe that the days of the mass employment industry like bananas and so on, that we can find other industries that can replicate or substitute that sort of thing, or we have to get used to the fact that there has now been a permanent and irreversible realignment of the kinds of industries, and we have to accept a more fragmented, economy. Well, fragmented may not be the best word. Diversified, I'm sure, is the one that we will prefer. A little bit of informatics, a little bit of this, a little bit of that over here. But will they ever have the kind of push and the kind of economic delivery power that, for example, the banana industry was considered to have had in creating a new and very vibrant middle class, etc., and the other things that are credited to it?
Well, I mean, listen. First of all, there is a need to modernize agriculture, absolutely, and I think in that process, one can foresee, significant numbers of individuals taking part in this sector. So whether it's bananas or some of the crops, I think we need to modernize agriculture, especially when you consider the high import content that food itself plays in our imports from the rest of the world. We should be producing a lot more in St. Lucia and the islands in general and consuming at home. That's going to take But that's going to take, of course, some more initiatives on the part of both government and the private sector. But I think there are other areas that I can see St. Lucia could be thriving. And the youth, for example, if you look at the creative industries, I think we generally, many see it as just, entertainment. But I can tell you there's a huge potential for making money in the industries. If you think of, put in context, think of what the like of Michael Jackson did back in the 90s and 80s when they started singing, and these became the multi-millionaires of the day, and some of them even billionaires nowadays. This is what St. Lucian youth can look at, those who have all the skills, within segment and so on. That is the sort of potential you can see there in that sector. So I think the creatives are something we have to explore steadily, and that alone can become a significant powerhouse for growth and transformation. But of course, you have to look at the industries holistically. Agriculture has its role to play. In my own view, we should have an economy that is producing at least 50%, at least 5% of the GDP should be coming out of agriculture. Right now, it's just like 1% struggling, 1 to 2% struggling at the bottom there. We need to do better than that, and a lot of it constitute some of the essential foods, etc., that we consume in the country. Manufacturing, there are aspects of that we can also look at. Not so much the heavy variety, but light manufacturing, and that should be a significant part of our GDP as well. Because many people will tell you there is no modern country that has actually taken off in the current time without having a significant or some kind of a vibrant manufacturing sector. So maybe we can also look at something like 5% of the GDP could be in manufacturing, but very smart manufacturing, not the old conventional beauty type that's very polluting and so on, but more the kind of manufacturing that might be, for example, making more use of artificial intelligence, more robotics, etc. We need to start looking at these sorts of innovations in our manufacturing. There is demand for both at home and abroad.
But our efforts to diversify into higher end, we might say more sophisticated industries and so on, seem from their very inception to have faced some very powerful challenges and headwinds. Tourism, we know the post 911. 2001 challenges that we faced, that all it takes one terrorist strike and then you have people reluctant to travel and so on. One COVID pandemic. Yes, we spoke about the pent-up demand for traveling, but did it ever come back to what it was? What might happen, for example, if there is a war in the Caribbean between the US and Venezuela? We spoke about offshore financial services, the informatics sector and so on. It seemed like it was the target of sabotage from the very start, from powerful countries which saw the potential for capital flight from their countries. We had our financial services, the OECD, and all of that seem to have gone after us, as indeed our citizenship by investment programs always seem to be on the end of some sniper scope, from very powerful Nest and so on in Europe, etc. So how do we move and branch out into those areas where we saw opportunities, where it appears that from the very start there is a design that is organized to make us fail or to flounder and to struggle in it?
First of all, I would say that we should not be afraid. Do not fear. The challenges we face today, we have seen them before. Everything. I think there's a verse somewhere in Leviticus. Is it Leviticus or one of the books in the Bible where it says, "There's nothing new under the sun, under heaven. Everything that has been will be."
Yes.
So I think as we go, we will certainly be challenged, and we have also that saying in St. Lucia ourselves. People only sow stones at a tree that's bearing fruit, right? So the very fact that when they see our CIP is excelling and we're making money, we're able to put in hundreds of millions into some kind of a slush fund or some kind of instrument. These things, frankly, trouble even our developed partners, because the reality is that the developed partners do not really want to see us fully graduate and be independent of them. They always want to see this level of dependency on themselves. Otherwise, we can reach a stage where we say, you know what, we delink from our relationships altogether, and we are self-sustaining. So we have to keep that in mind. I think once, if you take like the CIP, once we ensure that we are compliant with international law, we perform our due diligence, we do all the things people expect us to do, there should be no basis for quarrels from our developed partners, whether it's Europeans or the Americans. After all, they themselves are doing exactly the same thing, in maybe disguised differently, but they're doing the same thing. So the challenge will be there, but we have to simply prepare ourselves to deal with it whenever it comes, and to work together, because it does not serve any vital purpose either if one set of us, one group is going against the CIP just because they're not the ones in the driver's seat at the time, and it's a national project. It's for the whole nation, so we should see it as ours, not as something belonging to a particular group of individuals because they're in governance at a point in. But diversification, the only way I see forward, we have to diversify. We have to do smart diversification. We have to look at sectors and activities that will bounce back quickly after a disaster, whether it's natural or man-made. You hit on the issue of potential war right in our backyard, and it's something we just simply do not want. I really hope that we can find a way around this war and move forward, because the last thing we want is to have a war in the Americas, right in our backyard. It will disturb our economic progress. It's going to disturb social cohesion. Is going to have serious ramifications for not just us, but the entire region, even the entire Americas. So we need to go back to peace and stability. But for us, for what we can do on our part, we can certainly diversify our economies, but not in the old way we were talking about, agriculture versus something else. I think we have to do that diversification in context of new technologies, looking at our comparative advantage, and we still have advantages. Ours is frankly knowledge based. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of specialized skills, and every day you see the news, you see new graduates in certain areas. I'm seeing some new skills emerging in the market that I didn't know existed as solutions actually possess. So we have a lot of very creative solutions graduating and providing high value national markets. All of that we need to try and see how we can harness both the formal kind of sector and what we tend to see as less formal, the like of entertainment and other issues I mentioned earlier.
Okay. Many people consider it indispensable, and I think it's an accepted that our best hope for achieving those things is the kind of collaboration that we need to pursue and achieve within the context of the OECS. We know that we now have an OECS economic union, and within the broader CARICOM single market and economy. Are you satisfied with the level of progress and achievement that we have made in regional, sub-regional, hemispheric collaboration, which can give us a prayer of a chance in realizing those ambitions and pursuits that you have enunciated as being necessary for us to basically get to where we need to be as a matter of urgency?
Well, I mean, obviously, the OECS has made some significant contribution, and it continues to be a very important integration movement that we have to harness and fully develop ourselves. We have the single currency, which is very important for trade. Single currency, we can move money seamlessly within the union. We do not face any external pressures from having to find foreign exchange. As it stands now, any of the islands, St. Lucia, Antigua, St. Kitts, etc., we can buy and sell goods and services to each other without having to use a US dollar. We just, use our EC dollar, our currency, and that's it. So it's a powerful platform. Having said this, I think, especially when it comes to goods, viable transportation has always been an issue, and it continues to be an issue. I don't know how and when we'll address it, when they take a decisive action on this. There are issues of capital. It's very expensive establishing, one ship, let alone a fleet of ship that can move goods from, Grenada in the south to St. Kitts, etc., in the north, as far as the OECS is. But there's also we can look at aircraft as well, and I know there have been a few great ideas in that space for aircraft that can be used primarily for moving goods. We have to revisit some of the thinkers. People like Kwame Vena had a great idea at some point. I remember he discussed with me for moving goods the very south, and of course passengers as well. So the integration commitment is there, but I think our leadership has to double down. All the regional leaders have to double down in terms of the commitment to getting it operationalized, not just as an idea, but have it actually happening. We speak a lot about it. We've taken a lot of decisions in the past, but the implementation remains, yet to be seen. If we can do that, certainly that will create a lot more resilience for the OECS as a regional group, and we can see St. Lucia taking off without the need to be, exporting our services and goods to parties out there. There's a lot on what we can do within the union, and of course, CARICOM by extension. We can bring brothers and sisters, the MDCs, the so-called MDCs, and have people treated them as well. And investment flows between ourselves.
Do you believe that we are maturing towards the stage where newly elected governments will not feel that they are duty-bound or obligated to cancel, to abort, to distance themselves from initiatives and projects that were undertaken by their predecessors simply because, they want to discredit them, they don't want to give them any kind of, even though there are things that have been agreed regionally and sub-regionally or hemispherically, and are accepted as being necessary for our advancement. But you come in, so you throw everything out of the window because, you know, you want to spite, and I think you get my drift.
No, certainly. Yeah, you are right. I think there is still a little bit of, you say, maturing, I would say outright maybe pettiness in various in jurisdictions in terms of what new regimes do when they take power. Clearly, this is not sustainable. This is not the way forward. We need to ensure whenever we have regime change, we continue on the same path. As long as what was conceptualized by the predecessor makes sense, it's sound, you know, and it is a logical path to follow for growth and continuing transformation. And this is why I think one of the ways out of this perpetual cycle of new regime trying to start things all over is to have this national development plan, which should not be a 5-year plan. For the simple reason that the 5-year plan means that it tends to belong to a particular party, right? It should be a 20-year or 25-year, it should be a big plan. In my own mind, I have been thinking about the Vision 2050 more than 5 years ago. We did a kind of a Vision 2050, for example, for St. Lucia. And that vision has to be developed and crafted by the entire country, led, of course, by a group of individuals, consultants, thinkers, you know, and so on. But it should be developed and then presented to the parliament, you know, get all parties committed to its implementation, right? And then proceed for the implementation of that vision over whatever is going to take 20, 30 years to get there. Otherwise, we will just find ourselves, you know, washing the hands and wiping it down in the mud. We will not move forward. So we really need to get this done once and for all. And I think St. Lucia is at a point where we can lead in this area. We can say, okay, let's establish a good national vision for the next 20 years, 25 years. Let's get buy-in. And I'm being very careful to say it should not be driven entirely by one administration or one political party. They can initiate it, but it has to be something that the entire nation takes ownership of. Right? So regardless of which administration is in power, they will follow that path. I am quite pleased to see that a lot of some of the initiatives, at least of the JPI administration, have shown that kind of maturity. And I think in the coming term we will see a lot more of this. Okay? But it's something that has to be done. We cannot just politicize economic growth and transformation. We need a team to lead the effort. But the projects, the programs, etc., these things take many years to implement. If, for example, you're looking at a massive highway connecting the north and the south, like we were talking about, there was one project we were talking about going from back in Barbano Estate all the way down into Dennery and down to Viewport. At some point, we were talking about that. If we're going to do that, it's not going to be a 2-day, 1 year kind of. It can be a 3-year project, or, a 4-year. So it can span administrations. Do we want to start something that's going to cost us $200 million or $300 million and to have it halfway in implementation? There's regime change, and the new regime says, no, I'm not going to continue this project. The road is halfway built between Dennery and Barbano. Okay. So we cannot be doing this sort of thing. We have to be on the same page. And so that is why that vision has to be, the ownership has to be the entire country. The people must own the vision so that the people will be very clear with the successive administrations. I need you to keep on track so you can get us to where we want. In the end, all of this fight that we have, which Sir John likes to call tribalism, political fights, it's because we feel as St. Lucians, we have contending ideas. We believe we all want to see the best for our country. That is what the political parties are really about, right? So if that is the case, we should all want to buy into one vision, okay? A common vision, a shared vision, but we have different approaches to implementing the vision. That is where the difference is right now. How we're going to do division might be a little different.
My final question to you: imagine me. It might be a little difficult for you, but imagine me being the Prime Minister and the Minister responsible for economic development, and I want to ask Dr. Preville, as an expert, what do you think should be the first 1, 2, 3 priorities of things that in 2026 we must really put on the front burner and pursue as matters of urgency, as urgent priority, to ensure that we achieve some degree of economic progress, development, stability, sustainability as we move forward? What would be, you can choose just one, you can choose 2, no more than 3. Tell us what would be your response if I were to make, such an inquiry, such a request of you for recommendations.
You put me on the spot there. It's a very interesting question. I mean, again, there's no one fix approach. There are many pressing demands, and there are things that need to be done in the short term, but there are things that require long-term planning and so on. So, in terms of where we are now, I think if you're looking at activities to spur economic growth immediately, you can never go wrong with government spending, because you look at your GDP equation, standard equation from Kuznets, you know that government spending will boost the GDP. If you spend on infrastructure, that always works. So I think I would look at infrastructure as one of the things to power the economy in the immediate term. But closely behind this, which takes more time, is the human resource side. And this is why it is so powerful when an administration says it's going to put people first, because it's all of what we're doing is to grow the economy for the people. So if you have trained human resource, you are able to absorb that labor in the economy as you try to build the economy. Okay, so that I think has to remain highly prioritized, whatever you're doing. And then, of course, you look at the other activities that can support, for the time being, the main pillar today is tourism. We have to build activities around this, and gradually we can see how we diversify. So the tourism, of course, is not just the tourists coming and staying in the hotels, it's all the other things. And it's also the new, not so much new, but the more creative application that we see in the regional tourism development initiatives. So we have to look at those things again a lot more holistically. I would start with some infrastructure, if it is in terms of getting things going quickly. Precise sectors, etc., it's the government to decide. But I think again, in their own vision, in the manifesto, there is already a lot of food for thought. So we think one can start with that, whilst in parallel coming up with that vision we need, so that we can do things systematically for the next 5 years or so.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Claudius Preville, economist, trade expert, trade specialist. Really appreciate having you on the program, and I'm sure that we'll find other things to speak about in depth as time goes on.
Thank you so much, Shelton. Thanks for having me, and all the best as you wrap up your program for this year.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We take an overdue commercial break, and then we'll be back to take some of your calls at least and your messages.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Realfm.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Realfm.
Appreciate you staying with the Real Issues, our penultimate program for 2025. We wrap up tomorrow to allow Jaquan and Coalition and others to really get into the Christmas vibe, which they've already done. As you can see, he's got his Santa hat still on and they were having fun. Let me wish Godspeed to a wonderful person, wonderful human being, a consummate professional, very caring medical practitioner, and was announced the closing of a medical practice, so she's retiring. I'm talking about Dr. Marie Grandison Didier, who not too long ago lost her husband, and also a medical practitioner that many people would have known and been served by and liked. So Dr. Grandison Didier has said, and I think it's published in the Gazette, that she is informing the public that effective the 13th day of December 2025, her medical practice will be closed, and that practice based at the Tapion Hospital. And she is thanking all persons with whom she worked over the last 31 years, during which she provided service in St. Lucia. It was a beautiful, enjoyable experience. God bless each and every one of you. And I think everyone who knows you, and even those who don't, Dr. Grandison Didier, would want to return those good wishes back to you. You fully deserve them. Dr. Grandison Didier, if I remember correctly, a Jamaican national, but has been living in St. Lucia, it seems like forever. And whether you encountered her in an interview, whether you encountered her in her medical practice, I must say, quite a beautiful soul, quite a wonderful, caring person, polite, and, there's no end to the good things that I can say about her, as indeed I would have said about her late husband, Dr. Martin Didier, whom we lost not too long ago. But at least Dr. Grandison Didier, even though she is retiring from medical practice, is still with us for the time being, and for that we are extremely grateful and give thanks. The telephone lines are open. We may not have much time, but you can place your calls. WhatsApp call us on 487-9849. That's 487-9849. And you can also reach us on the landline, which is 4533-911. Now, I think yesterday there may have been some discussion on the real issues. I was not present between my co-host who held the fort in my absence, Terry Fenelon and Miguel Evelyn Favrier. And I know something about who was invited to the swearing in of Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre. Last Friday, we did see some prime ministers from Antigua and Barbuda St. Kitts and Nevis, and the Prime Minister of Grenada was also there. The Prime Minister of Barbados was also there. A representative of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines government. And, Dr. Al Gonzalez may no longer be Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but a lot of people would still remember him and hold him in high regard, because when someone holds the post of Prime Minister for 24 years continuously, and he had been a member of Parliament for since 1994, I think, and so on. He had a party called the Movement for National Unity, and they merged with the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Labour Party to form the Unity Labour Party. And he became Prime Minister, and him would respect him, etc. And they would remember him as a regionalist, as someone who contributed to regional integration, worked in the interest of the OECS. But I think the St. Vincent and the Grenadines government was represented by the man who's also the president of the West Indies, of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shalu. And questions are being asked about Dr. Shalu being the president of Cricket West Indies and also a minister of government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I don't know that this is anything new, that it has not happened before, that a politician has held a leading position. For many years, Mr. Paul Chet Green of Antigua and Barbuda was also the president of the Antigua National Olympic Committee, and that was while he was a minister, eventually moved on. I think also here in St. Lucia, if I'm not mistaken, we had Mrs. Fortuna Belrose heading the National Olympic Committee in St. Lucia. I can't remember if this actually intersected with her time as a minister. I suspect it did for a short while and so on. Honorable Julian Hunt, leader of the opposition in St. Lucia, was also serving as the president of Cricket West Indies. It was called by a different name at the time. I believe he also had a very long history while in public service in St. Lucia, was also heading the Windward Islands Cricket Board, etc., representative on it. Now, Dr. Kishore Shalu, he campaigned and whatever for office, which he was eventually successful. I think everybody knew that he was then the president of it all. Maybe his win took some people a little off guard and so on, but I just want to say there is some discussion going on about that, about whether he should remain. He said he won't be standing for re-election when his term ends, but he will continue his term, etc. Don't forget the telephone lines are open for your calls, not because we're closing up tomorrow for you all to abandon us. I understand that, okay, folks? That's okay. I'm not taking it personal. 487-9849 and 4533. Does that mean that this light means that there's a call coming through? Okay, let me press. But how do we get the mic onto it? Let me see. Hi, caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm sorry about that. I saw the light flashing, but the phone's in an unaccustomed position where Jaquan would normally... But go ahead.
Yeah, and good afternoon, Mr. Terry.
Yeah, Terry isn't there. It's just Shelton today.
All right, thank you. Yeah. We would like to give our thanks, to Dr. McDowell and the sacrifices he made to see that truth prevail over lies. Mm-hmm. Because we knew what he went through during that 2016 regime, where you had Alan Shastney was attempting to do all that he could to try to suppress truth and information. He placed heavy pressure on Dr. McDowell to sell that station, depriving him of ads. And had he returned, he would come guns blazing with victimization against NBC. So, Alan Shastney, they could keep him at the head of the UWP party. They could keep that circus there because we are not paying anything to see him. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And we want to let people know that the Prime Ministers of Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines were invited to the swearing-in of Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre. They were invited. But of course, you invite people and they have their own commitments, obligations, prior engagements, and so they can't always come. That's not taken to mean anything. Right now, for example, Trinidad, there's a lot happening there, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there was just very recently a change of government. So, you have to understand that sometimes. All right, we have a caller on the WhatsApp line. You're on the air. Go ahead. Hello? Hi, caller, Real Issues. Are you there? Are you there, caller, on the WhatsApp line? Hi, are you there? All right, maybe we have a little issue with him. Let me give a shout out to the Leo family, the people who are behind Leo's restaurant, especially Stan Leo of that family. Thank you very much, Stan, for reaching out and the greetings that you sent me. There's another brother who's got a food truck on the William Peter Boulevard, another of the Leos. We've been talking, we've been basically have a little buddy rapport between us, but I just can't remember his name, But my heart's always in the right place where, amity with you is concerned. So it was nice seeing you this morning. And someone has sent a message where they say Development Initiative Protection Act to prevent the discontinuation of critically important projects after change of government. The details of that provision should have some bipartisan input to make it as effective as possible. And I think the person is suggesting legislation that we should have, that governments cannot just stop initiatives that are in the national interest simply because they were begun by their predecessors. We have someone on the WhatsApp line. Go ahead. Hi, Real Issues. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, you're there. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I was trying to chime in on the whole Singapore thing. I mean, one of the things people have to realize is what they did was achieved at a tremendous cost, curtailment of civil liberties. And the question is, if we want to follow Singapore, are we willing to accept such a curtailment of civil liberties? Are we
prepared to accept authoritarian governance, right?
Yes, that is important. Because people, they talk about, you could be jailed in Singapore for spitting in public. You could be jailed for chewing gum in public.
Yes.
I mean, there are serious things that we're looking at, Well, there are some important things we could take from them, but I don't think we can wholly adapt or adopt what they did.
All the graffiti that we put on walls, passing around with a can of spray paint and so on. They catch you with that. Is not only jail, they cane you. You have to take some lashes of cane in public.
Public caning.
Yeah.
People. So I think what we need to do is to chart our own costs.
Yes.
China charted its own costs. And I believe that Philip J. Piaway,
yes,
in 10 years' time, I believe people will be talking about St. Lucia.
All right.
We continue on the same trajectory.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Now, Jaquan, we have a caller on the landline. Oops, it looks like the person left. So I was going to say maybe we can take a minute on the other side of the lotto, but it looks like we'll just wrap it up right there, okay? Thank you very much, everyone, for having been part of the Real Issues until our final program tomorrow. Shelton Daniel, for the Real Issues powered by Blue Waters, signing out for today.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Realfm.
Draw of Thursday, 11th December 2025 were Double Daily Grand 2, 4, 10, 18. Big 4, 5, 7, 2, 1. Big for Multi-X 2X. Pick 2, 7, 0. Pick 2 Multi-X FP 1 off 4, 2, 6. Lucky 3, 3, 4, 7. Lucky 3 Multi-X 2X.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no